Hello everybody, so today we are being an EasyJet pilot as we take the newly updated Airbus A320neo from iniBuilds on a flight from a very dreary Heathrow airport down to hopefully a much brighter and sunnier Ibiza. It's an all iniBuilds flight today. We're in an iniBuilds plane at iniBuilds Heathrow and we're heading down to, of course, iniBuilds Ibiza. Now this Airbus A320neo from iniBuilds has recently seen an update as part of the Sims AAU3 update, so I'm keen to take this plane out for a spin, see what it can do. It is an important plane as A, it's free and it comes with the sim by default, and also iniBuilds are making a ton of other planes for Flight Sim 2024, including the Airbus A330, which frankly is just as well considering the mess we've seen from Aerosoft. Anyway, I'm really interested to see where things lie with iniBuilds at the moment and really keen to see what this plane can do. We are on the VATSIM network today and hopefully Heathrow Tower remains online long enough for us to get out of here with some fairly decent coverage. So with that in mind, let's get inside, let's get things fired up, and let's get on our way. So first things first, our flight plan from SimBrief has imported nicely into the EFB, as has our payload, and obviously that is now currently being loaded into the plane via GSX. Hopping up to the top here, all I've done so far is turn the batteries on, turn the external power on, so let's get our navs on. 1, 2, 3, let's arm the emergency lights, put the no smoking lights on because it is not the mid-90s. And we will put on the oxygen crew supply. And for now, we will remain on the external power while we set up the rest of the plane and get ready to get out of here. Okie dokie, so Heathrow ATIS is on 128.080 that we got in the standby frequency. So let's move that across to active and see what they've got to say.
QNH 993 hectopascals. Acknowledge receipt of information echo and advise aircraft type and series on first contact with Heathrow.
There we go, that should do us nicely. So we've got information echo on board and the QNH is, let's do that now, if I can zoom out a bit as well, 993 hectopascals. There we go. And of course we need to do it on the other side as well because I haven't synced them in the settings. Alright, let's go to the flight management page and we'll go to the init page. We'll do init request, which should hopefully pull in our flight plan from SimBrief. There it is. That's all looking good. And then we can do init page B, which of course now means we need to head over to our EFB and get some figures out of that. So we've got a zero fuel weight of 53.1 and a zero fuel weight center of gravity of 27.9. So we can get those across now. Alright, that's all good. Let's go over to the performance page, and again, we're going to need to use our EFB to calculate all of these values. So, alright, let's head over to the takeoff page, and we should be using 27 left, I believe, for departures, and it could be a little bit on the wet side. Sync the weather, and we will now calculate our speed. So we've got a flex of 58, V1 of 135, 150, 152, 152. We're going to do a flaps of 1 plus F, and then we've got a trim of 0.6 up. So 1 / UP 0.6, and we should be in business. Alright, Heathrow Tower is online, and they are on 118 decimal, what is it, 505, and we'll give them a shout, hopefully get some clearance out of them, and maybe if they stay on long enough, because you know they could go offline at any point, and hopefully we might get some taxi instructions down to 27 left.
Okay.
There we go.
Stand by Speedbird 510 Lima, model Unicorn 122.8, bye-bye.
Heathrow Tower, good morning, Easy 281 at stand 516, information echo on board aircraft type A320neo, looking for IFR clearance to Ibiza, please.
Easy 281, Heathrow Tower, good morning, cleared Ibiza, Msfs 1 Golf, departure squawk 1153.
Cleared to Ibiza on the Msfs 1 Golf, departure squawk 1153, Easy 281.
Easy 281, correct.
Hey, we did it. We did it. Doesn't matter how many times you go onto VATSIM, you always feel a sense of accomplishment when you get it right. We go, 1153 is in, and we are cleared, most importantly, for our expected departure. which means we can now, without fear, put in our departure into Heathrow. So we're going to depart on 27 left on the Maxit 1 Golf. Good, let's get that inserted. And now our flight plan out of Heathrow is looking much more reasonable up here on the ND. It's a long way off yet, but we are planning on the ILS into runway 24 on the Q4 November arrival. Let's insert that. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on here because it says estimated fuel on board 0.6 when we arrive in Ibiza, which strikes me as a bit low. I used SimBrief to calculate the route today, and I told it that we're using the iniBuilds version of the A320neo. So hopefully, I hoped it would have had all the information it needed to generate a flight plan that's maybe going to leave us a bit more in the tanks. We'll have to see. We'll keep an eye on this on the way down and see what goes on. I'm not going to fiddle with it for now. I'm kind of interested to see what actually happens because, you know, a lot of people are going to use SimBrief and probably blindly follow it. So I think it's kind of interesting to see what actually happens if that is the case. Anyway, let's get the rest of the plane set up and we will get our taxi instructions and get out of here.
All stations, apologies, I have to close now. This is Heathrow Tower, closing. Have a good day.
Oh no, they're closing. Literally just we're about to get pushed.
Thank you very much, Martin. Goodbye.
That's great. Monitor Unicode 122 decimal 8.
122 decimal 8 it is. Devastated. Oh no, this is the risk you take on VATSIM. Alright, 122 decimal 8. There we go. Right, let's run our own show then out of Heathrow. Okay, it shouldn't be an issue as that BA plane is on the other side of the taxiways there, but we'll just let them pass and then we'll push back, tail over here, and we'll get ourselves pointing to the south. Right, let's see if GSX will push us back. That's going to be the next thing, isn't it? So let's do prepare for pushback and departure. There goes the jet bridge. Watch the paint work. Come on now. Pretty busy here at Heathrow this morning. Oh, okay. There it goes. Straight through the ground power unit. Okay, so we are ready to be pushed back. And let's just give a quick call out onto Unicom to let everyone know what we are doing. Heathrow traffic easy 281 at stand 516, pushing back, facing South Heathrow traffic. Okay, South on Alpha.
Release parking brakes, please. Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Happy days. There he goes. Beautiful. Flaps 1. Here they come. Happy days. We are in business. There's the plane doing its obligatory barking for us. Love to see it. Alright, I do believe it's time that we taxi down to 27 left via Alpha, and we will hold at November 2 Echo. So let's get our taxi lights on, and we will let everyone know that we are going to be on our way shortly. Heathrow traffic easy 281 at stand 516, taxiing to 27 left, holding point November 2 Echo via Alpha. Heathrow traffic. Happy days. Right, let's get the brakes off. Let's mosey on down. Nice thing about the Neo, those massive, massive engines, they almost like an automatic car. You let the brakes off and it just creeps. And we will say goodbye to Terminal 5. So I think the plan will be that we will hand fly the first part of this flight because I'm curious to see how the side stick feels with this plane. I've got it currently set to use my Phoenix profile, which is where you've got, I think, the sensitivity dampened by like minus 20%. So I don't know how that's going to translate into the iniBuilds. Hopefully it'll be alright. But yeah, we'll have to figure that one out. Of course, we're using the Ava base today, which is kind of my new go-to. Oh, look at that. Heathrow Tower's back online, having just gone offline. Heathrow Tower, good morning. Easy 281, taxiing to 27 left on Alpha.
Easy 281, Heathrow, good morning. Continue Alpha, holding point November Bravo 2 Echo. Report ready.
Continue taxi, November Bravo 2 Echo. Will report when ready. Easy 281.
6.
There it is. November Bravo 2 Echo.
Got room 2 Golf Patch, Squawk 2016 for Speedbird 574.
Spirit 574 correct. Break easy 281, ready for departure.
Easy 281, ready for departure.
Correction, easy 281, thank you. Surface winds 190 degrees at 7 knots, runway 27 left, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, 27 left, easy 281.
Easy 430 Alpha Heathrow Tower, hello. Cleared Amsterdam, Brookmans Park 7 Golf departure, squawk 4445.
Alright, takeoff config is normal.
Cleared to Amsterdam, Brookmans Park 7 Golf departure, squawk 4445, Spirit 430 Alpha.
Spirit 430 Alpha correct.
I know we've been cleared, but it's always good manners to
Spirit
check.
430 Alpha, taxi.
Left is clear.
Spirit 430 Alpha, taxi Alpha, hold
Right is
short of
clear.
Yankee.
Alpha, Shelly Yankee, Spirit 430 Alpha. 0574, ready for taxi.
Spirit 574 taxi right turn Alpha, holding point Lowman.
Turn out Alpha, hold the point Norman, Spirit 574.
Virgin 23 Whiskey Golf, welcome to Heathrow. Taxi via Echo, Golf and Foxtrot, stand 316.
Alright, let's get ready to go. So we're going to hold it on the brakes. Let the engine stabilise.
American 87 Heathrow, good morning, readability 5. I have your clearance here when ready. American 87 clear to Chicago, Compton 3 Golf departure, squawk 5017.
And away we go.
Clear to Chicago via the Compton 3 Golf departure, squawk 5017.
Engine thrust levers not set. Yeah,
American
they are.
87 negative, squawk 5017.
5017.
Let's get out of here.
200 degrees, 8 knots.
Ooh, that feels very
200
sensitive.
degrees, 8 knots, Heathrow out.
Gear up. Crikey.
Good 430 Alpha, continue taxi via Alpha, holding point Lowman.
Taxi via Alpha, hold at Lowman, Spirit 430 Alpha.
Yeah, okay, so there's a very, very sensitive... if I put a little bit of pressure on my throttles, you see it goes into flex, and if I release that pressure, it goes into manual throttle. So we might need to put a little bit of like a dead zone in there, just to make it better for next time.
EV281, unfortunately nothing further now, monitor Unicom, have a good flight, bye-bye.
Unicom, thanks for service, Easy281. Okay, levers into climb. Luckily they seem to be agreeing that we're in climb. Okay, we're now into Unicom 122.8. And we will start our first turn out of Heathrow. Flaps up. And around we go. So I'm starting to feel a little bit more used to the stick, although it doesn't feel... something feels a bit off. Does look good though, the sim, doesn't it? Some days it really does look good. Alright, there's Maxit. So now we can start our climb up to flight level 390. I'm going to put the plane into open climb, so then it will just climb as quickly as it can to that altitude. We've got no air traffic control online, so we'll just let it do what it wants. Get it up there as promptly as we can. Let's go into standard pressure, and we have to do the right-hand side as well, otherwise it's going to whinge at us. Beautiful, so you can just see we're now leaving the UK behind. We're on Unicom, so there's no ATC online at the moment. We're doing our own thing, and I've got the plane into open climb, and we are heading up to our cruise of flight level 390. On the way down into Ibiza, I'm going to put it into manage mode in the hope that we can kind of stress test the VNAV a little bit, see if it respects all of the different constraints on the way down. And as for the landing, we'll also try the approach mode, and obviously I'll do the last little bit, of course, because that's kind of the whole point. That's most of the fun. But I want to see how it kind of can maintain itself on the ILS into Ibiza, just to see how it performs. I got no reason to suspect it will perform badly, but it's good to test these things out. But so far so good. It's been really good. And this is important. This is an important plane because it's free and everyone can have it, and it comes by default now in the sim. Much in the same way that the fly-by-wire is an important plane because anyone can download it, anyone can enjoy it, and it's constantly getting better. These two planes, both for the A320neos, this one from iniBuilds and the other from fly-by-wire, very, very important aircraft in the sim. Very, very important indeed, because a lot of people can't justify dropping big money on add-on planes. Some people look at me like I'm crazy sometimes. They say like, you spent how much on an add-on for a game? Like, that's almost more than a game. It's like, yeah, I know, but then you explain it and they still look at you like you're crazy. But I do think that even for a lot of people that consider themselves simmers, the PMDGs, the Phoenixes, as wonderful as they are, it's just too much money. So these planes are super, super important. So I'm really hopeful that this performs well. It's doing really well so far. And of course, you've got to remember that iniBuild are doing a lot of work for Flight Sim 24 because we're going to get the A330. They're doing the Beluga, I believe. They're doing the A400M. So they're really putting out a lot of planes at the moment. So if they can all hopefully be of this level that I've experienced so far, we're going to be in a really good place going into Flight Sim 24. Especially when you compare and contrast to the rubbish that we saw yesterday from Aerosoft of the A330. I don't know what they were thinking. What were they thinking releasing it? And B, what were they thinking giving it to like reviewers to review? Because obviously they're going to pan it. Like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. But it makes me all the more grateful for planes like this, planes like the fly-by-wire, and hopefully, by extension, the planes we're going to get by default in Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. So let's kick back, enjoy the views of the cruise, and we will then begin our descent into Ibiza and see how the plane really performs then. There we go. Top of descent reached. We're now heading down to 3,000 feet because if we look at our flight plan... 2,000 feet, in fact, it wants us at. Let's go down to 2,000 feet. So that is basically the floor of our descent, and when we get to 2,000 feet, we're going to then be intercepting the ILS, things like that. So really now it's a case of letting the plane run the show, and we'll see how well it does it. Just giving the plane a little bit of speed brakes to help us out on the descent. The Neo, I believe, is a bit slipperier than the CEO, so not necessarily pointing the finger at iniBuilds here, being like, your plane's too slippery. I think it might just be the nature of the beast. So it's complaining that there is a speed error at waypoint Negri. So if we look at Negri here, it says above 5,000, 220 knots. So if we actually jump in and have a look, speed constraint 220. And if you look at the charts, it says max speed 220 above 5,000, which is what we've got. So not entirely sure what its problem is there, to be honest. Ah, I see. So we've got a constraint at Negri of 220 knots, but of course we're quite high. Maybe that's where the error was coming from, because at this height we're going to be significantly above 220 knots. So maybe we need to get down to 220. Give us some speed brakes to help out. Maybe that will solve the issue. In fact, no, let's not. Let's put it in managed, because it should do it itself, right? It should do it itself. I forgot, the whole point of this is to test the plane, so let's test the plane. Because we are rapidly approaching 10,000 feet as well, so the 250... Yeah, there it goes. So it's done it. On that magenta dot, it's just gone down to 220 knots. I just saw it appear there briefly. So actually, I was wrong to have intervened then. There was no need, because look, see the plane is bringing itself down to 220 to ensure at Negri that we're fine. We're at 220 knots. We're above 5,000 feet. We're obeying the constraints of that waypoint. So actually the plane was totally happy. It was just me getting impatient and freaking out. So points to the plane. All right, 10,000 feet. Let's get lights on. Plane seems to be sitting at around 10 knots beneath the constraint, doesn't it? Because at 220 we're at 210. Now the constraint for this waypoint is 210. We're at about 200. Again, don't know if that's indicative and typical of real life performance of the Neo. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Now, yeah, we could have completely bypassed all of these, this kind of S-turn that we're doing, but I wanted to just let the plane do its thing and kind of monitor what it does, and so far it's doing very well indeed. So we're just heading away from the island. You can just about make out the airport, I think, from here. So we're sort of going to come around, make a bit of a U-turn, and then come in on final. And we'll see if I can hand fly this thing. We'll fly the approach mode for most of it, because again, kind of want to monitor the plane, see what it does, but it hasn't really put much of a foot wrong so far, has it? Does seem a little bit on the revvy side. You sort of hear the engines spool up, then they go down, then they come up, then they go down. Not entirely convinced that is as it should be. Ibiza traffic easy 281 lined up for runway 24, 17 miles to run. Not a bad view for the passengers. Much nicer than Heathrow, that's for sure. It's dreary at Heathrow this morning. Alright, 2,500 feet coming up. Let's get gear down. Okay, so you can see that ILS diamond now making its way down as we approach the glide slope. So let's put on approach mode. And we'll see what the plane does. Okay, let's get 3,000 set in the go-around altitude. The landing checklist is complete. Well, I think it's fair to say it's done quite a nice job at following the descent path all the way down. It's followed the ILS very nicely. You can see we're absolutely bang on at the moment. Once the fuel crossfeed set to on, it's fine, we can do that. Land ASAP, so it's not happy with the amount of fuel that we've got, is it? That's fine. Well, we're about to land, so... Right, dare I take control now we're below 1,000 feet? Well, let's do it. See how this thing hand flies. Okay, the wind is coming now straight at us down the runway. 25 knots, so... all that's left for me to do is ruin a perfectly good 2-hour flight in the last 30 seconds. And there's engine spooling again. $400 feet. I feel like the view's a little bit weird. It feels like we're kind of closer up to the instruments, as it were, versus if we were in, say, the Phoenix. Maybe I need to work on the view a little bit.
Minimum.
Continue. Come on. Let's do it.
100.
50 over the threshold.
50.
Close enough.
40. 30. 20. 10. 5.
Go on. Go on. Oh, it feels a bit funny to hand fly that one. So used to the Phoenix. Not that it's bad, it's just what you get used to, isn't it? there we have it, folks. We made it to Ibiza in the iniBuilds A320neo. Now, I think it all went pretty well. The only thing I would say maybe is that maybe the engine's kind of spooled up and spooled down a little bit too heavily. Like, you'd quite often have them almost at idle, then they'd quickly ramp up, then they'd quickly ramp down. Now, I don't know whether that's typical behaviour for the Neo in real life. If you do know, maybe drop a comment and let us know. But I think otherwise, a pretty solid performance from the iniBuilds A320neo. It's had a lot of updates as part of the AAU3 update, so it's had a lot of fixes and improvements made to it recently, which is kind of what made me want to do this flight in the first place, and also just to see where things are at with iniBuilds, because of course iniBuilds are going to be doing a lot with Microsoft Flight Sim 2024. The A330 in particular interests me a great deal, and obviously with what we've seen from Aerosoft in the last 24 hours, yeah, I would say all eyes are on iniBuilds to give us a good A330. I don't know what Aerosoft were thinking, quite frankly, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to see how the iniBuilds are getting on with the A320neo, and I think it's fair to say they're doing well, and it's an important plane because it's free and everyone can have it. And I know the Phoenix is awesome, and I know the PMDGs are awesome, but not everyone can afford it or can justify it. So I think it's very, very important that these planes exist, and I'm very, very grateful for it. So if we can have the A330s, the Belugas, the A400Ms from iniBuilds in Microsoft Flight Sim 24, if they can be at the level that this plane is at, I would say that is a jolly good place to be at. Very, very good indeed. For default planes to be like this is, yeah, very, very good indeed. Very, very good. So I think it's fair to say that the iniBuilds kind of passed the test today, and it was nice to do a different kind of thing with the EasyJet livery. I did ask on the channel a while ago, I put a poll out saying, yeah, what do you fancy? Do you fancy more like Air Not VA stuff or some real world stuff? And a lot of you said real world, so that's kind of part of why I wanted to do the EasyJet livery today. It makes a change. It's good fun to do. Only thing I would say is maybe I need to fine-tune my joystick settings, because I'm using the ones that Phoenix recommend, which is where I think you decrease the sensitivity by like 20%, and I'm not sure that translated brilliantly into this plane. So if you wouldn't mind if you've fine-tuned your sticks, maybe share your sensitivities in the comments. That would be a huge help. I did find it a bit of a struggle there on short final, but we did get it down okay in the end. But yeah, I think there's definite room for improvement there, for sure. Anyway, folks, thank you very much indeed for watching. Leave us a comment, let us know where you want to go to next, let us know what you want to see more of on the channel, more stuff like this, more other stuff, I don't know, you tell me. It's kind of as much your channel as it is mine, so it's always good to hear from you in the comments, and leaving a like helps the video and the channel a ton, so please be sure to do that. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything, and get subbed to the channel so you don't miss any future content. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I will see you in the next one. Take care of yourselves, be good to each other, and as always, happy flying.